Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Higher Moment Mastermind. I'm Shira Lotzar, joined by Vern Schellinger. We are happy to have you here on this Friday morning to answer your job search questions. So, who has got a question for us? Sally, anything on your mind?
Well, actually, the thing that I had in mind was this meeting, the informational interview meeting with Stephanie this afternoon. I have my list of questions. What does she tell me a little bit about herself? What does she do?
Yeah.
How does she network? And one thing that you recommended last week is give me the name of 2 people that I should contact. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
A couple of people. I'm just wondering if there are other questions out there that might I might not have thought about.
Yeah. So whenever you're networking, oh, actually, you know what? Let me not answer that. Vern, why don't you do that? Because I know networking is your big thing.
Well, first of all, Sally, I agree to ask for, a couple of referrals, but be very specific about your ask,
Okay.
and as opposed to being more direct, like I need, 2 referrals for you. Can you give me 2 referrals? Is it possible that you have a couple of people that you believe might be helpful to me? So just phrase it that way.
Okay.
The other question that would come immediately to mind, if this person that you're meeting with is good at networking, ask them what do you believe are the most important skills, behaviors that make you an effective networker?
Okay. That's good. Good one.
Yeah, because that's really, as you begin, I don't know where you are in the job search, but anybody in the job search, networking is critical. The more you can learn and the more you can improve your ability to network as you're going through the job search, the more productive you'll be. And ultimately, the greater number of referrals you may get about job opportunities because you're networking so well.
Yeah, it's good. And also to think about, always customize your questions, as it sounds like you're doing, to the person that you're speaking with. Right? So in this particular case, Stephanie has a very similarish background to you. Now, as it turns out, she happens to be seeking a different kind of opportunity than you are, but that's not really quite relevant, right? Because this isn't really about her, it's about you. But her background, right, is very similar to yours. And so first of all, with somebody like that, I'd actually get into a bit of the talking shop. Okay. To do that with somebody who does what you do. All right. And so I would ask her about her, in this case, she has that, association education background. Ask her, kind of what her experiences have been like. What kind of educational programming has she done? You can share about yours. Talk a little bit about, kind of similarities, right? So that you bond a little bit, being that you're from the same community. Okay. So you do similar things. And as you're doing that, you can then ask her, hey, how much has she played within the education space with other colleagues? Has she developed a network of other association education people? Now, as I mentioned before we started the call, I happen to know she's particularly plugged into the meeting planning community, which of course is her first cousin. Okay. I don't know to what extent she's plugged into the education side of things. And to the extent that she is, you can say, hey, you're not necessarily, are there 2 people, but just say, who do you know in our education side of the world that could benefit from speaking with me, or who might benefit from knowing that I'm on the market. And have her think through it. The other thing you can do is first of all, have you guys connected on LinkedIn yet?
No.
Okay. So
I don't think so.
Okay, go ahead and reach out today. Since she's already agreed to meet with you, it's perfectly legitimate to send a LinkedIn invitation before the meeting.
Okay.
If she accepts it quickly, like before your meeting, what you can do then is go open up her profile.
Yes.
Look at her contacts, presuming that she's opened her contacts, as most people have. and see if there's anybody in there
Okay.
that you are interested in, then you can prompt her.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
prompt her. And
Yes.
so you would say during the meeting, hey, I took a look at some of your connections and I'm really interested in meeting Jane, Fred, and Bob,
Okay.
right? Because most people forget who's in their LinkedIn
Yes.
contacts, right? Like,
Yes.
I mean, that's just normal. And so you can prompt her
Okay.
with that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Good.
networking conversations, everything Shira just said spoke to commonality, things that you have in common.
Mhm.
And whenever you're connecting with somebody and there's commonality, there's things that you can talk about that are common to both of you, that just makes the conversation that much easier.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
One other thing I want to tell you, Shira, is that I talked to Paul McGee, or we communicated
Yeah,
by email.
good.
And I said, by the way, Shira says hello. And he said, Shira's the best.
We have a nice relationship.
So, yes, I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah, no, I know. Warm regards back to him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. Good. Well, glad you had a good conversation with him. All right, so welcome, Kelly. Welcome back.
Yeah, I said something about leave a meeting, so I thought I'll press this button and whatever. I just go with the flow, man.
That's okay. All right, so oh, Ty, you've had your hand up.
Yeah, I have a question. Sure, you're familiar with my situation. Interviewed with the VP with the organization. I'm told the next steps would be interview with the director and probably the team. How is preparation from that, or different than any preparation from interviewing with the VP? What
So
types of things?
so
should
you've
I know?
already met the VP?
Yes, I had
Okay.
the interview this week. Yes.
Okay, so in that meeting, can you, not that you have to go too detailed on this public,
Right.
but
Right.
can you share with us any themes that came out of the meeting?
Well,
Because
I think
that's- yeah.
one was the question, what's your philosophy or what's your feeling about customer service?
Right.
What's your approach to customer service?
Right.
Two other questions were, what's your definition of a good and a bad day?
Interesting question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
All right.
So those were two types of questions that kind of popped
Fascinating.
out at me.
All right. Well,
And-
do you know who you're going to be meeting with? Do you know the titles of the people you're going to be meeting with in the group?
One I believe would be the senior director, and this is not. I'm not saying that I progressed to the next step. They were saying,
But if you did, yeah.
yes, this
Who?
would be like the senior director, and I believe part of the team. My challenge is, and I always think about this, and maybe it's wrongful to think about this, is the age difference between myself and maybe what there might be on the member of the team,
Of
and
course.
how do I diffuse that?
Yeah. I think in the way that we've talked about before, and that obviously you're not going to mention your age, but
Right.
you're going to acknowledge the fact that, obviously I'm a more seasoned professional, and you can see that I've had, other levels here. However, I have made a very intentional decision to pursue this level of role. So please know that this is not, a stopgap job for me. This is exactly what I'm looking for. I really, really have just decided that I love this sort of entry level member services, customer service area. Just reassure them that that's what you're looking for, that you're not trying to shoot higher, you're not trying to compete with them. You're not going to say those words, but you're implying that by
Right.
emphasizing that this is the level that you're looking for, right? The other thing too is that you want to be seen by them as a really good team player. Okay. And so
Okay.
one of the ways you do that is by asking them how your role can best serve them. So you'd ask them, you say, look, if I'm successful in my role, how would all of you benefit from that? What can I do to make your lives easier? How does my role impact yours? What can I do to make a difference, right? So let's just, for example, I'm making this up because I don't know what their titles are, but let's just say, one of the people on the call is the senior director of membership, right? Well,
Right.
you're in customer service and you're dealing with the members. Obviously, what you do greatly impacts their job, right? In terms of your ability to answer member questions in a way that highlights the brand value of the organization, helps people with their user experience, like this, as you know, right? Member services is the front line. It's the experience of it helps to shape the experience of the member and can determine whether or not they keep their membership. Could be, right? If they have a really great
Right.
experience or really not not a great experience.
Well, I think two of the themes I think that also popped out is one was I was told there's a bit of a backlog in getting back to members. That was one. And
Mhm.
the other one is I think they're going through some changes there where they might be reorganizing that area to some degree. I don't know
Yeah,
if
so I would ask about that. Tell me about how you guys are planning on reorganizing, what can I do to support that? Just any specifics you have about the role coming into that conversation, address it.
Okay.
Because at the
Just
end of the
one,
day, oh, sorry, Brian.
just one word of caution. Ty, do you know they're going to reorganize? Is that-
I was told they were, yeah. I don't know
Okay,
to what
all right,
degree. I was told
all right.
the VP
I
explained
just,
some changes taking place. It's not like a total across the board reorganization.
yeah, okay, all right. I just didn't want to go to
But it
TV.
was this area.
Say something about reorganizing and everybody go, what? Reorganizing? Yeah, okay, all right.
Good question, Vern. That's
Yeah.
right. It's a very good question. Yeah, as long as it's not hearsay, as long as it's the VP who told you that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was the VP, so I take it as gospel.
Oh, you're on mute, Ty.
I'm sorry. I take it as gospel came from the VP.
Yeah.
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 And she,
Yeah.
as you know, she's relatively new and their CEO is pretty new too.
Oh,
The,
very
the other thing to add on to what Shira said, when you ask them what can you do in your role to help them, and the example she gave, the director of membership, if they say something specific and you've had some experience or expertise in that area, that would be your time to mention, well, if that's what you need from me, I have that skill. I wouldn't go on for a long time, but a short 1 or 2 sentences example of, here's of my past experience where I've done exactly what you need. If I do it in this job, I am going to be helping you.
Thank you. All the inputs is certainly is very helpful.
Yeah. When's the interview, Ty?
Well, I don't have a second interview. I had the first interview with the VP.
First, you're waiting to find out if you have the second interview.
That won't be probably until probably a week and a half, is because they're interviewing right now. They're interviewing the initial candidates.
Okay. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Yep.
So Dave, any job search questions that you'd like to present to us? Like anything having to do with, could be interviewing, could be getting in front of recruiters, anything that we can address for you.
Well, my job, I've been in a job like 6 months now.
Okay.
And it's a difficult question. It's a difficult question because it's not a difficult job at all,
Okay.
but I'm being told I'm being criticized continuously by management, and I'm not quite sure how to deal with it. I'm like, to put it simply, the world automates patching, on upgrading servers. Monthly maintenance is what we call it.
Okay.
We do it manually because it's a government contract. So I guess there's, things I don't understand in that regard.
Okay.
But I'm being told I can't do it. And it's like, I could probably teach you how to do it in a half an hour because it's not technical. But and I'm not sure what to do because I'm constantly being told that I am being, like the other day I was told how many I was asked to upgrade a small application, and it's basically a wizard, and you do it on your home computer. And then I said, well, the 6 servers all have to be rebooted. I said, the application's calling for a reboot. Of course, we do it all via IM. We don't talk to each other. And then they said, how many or what servers? And I said, the servers you assigned to me. They literally tell you, these are the servers you have to do. The servers or what servers have to be rebooted. The servers the servers you assigned to me. And then I then I cut a little screenshot that said where the application literally said reboot or reboot it later, so your computer doesn't go off when you install this application, or when you hit next and then all of a sudden your computer reboots. And and then do they all have to be or what's and then I that's when I cut the GUI out, and I'm being criticized because I didn't say yes, all servers have
So
to be
yes, it sounds like you're in a it's a government contract, right?
yeah.
And you're working with government employees?
No, but
but
my sister thought it was because I got people who have military backgrounds, like a former Marine, a former.
yeah, it sounds like it's a pretty maybe it's not, maybe they don't think in a corporate mindset. Right. It sounds like it's just something that you're going to have, if you continue to stay on with the job, right? Something you're just going to have to live with, right? Let's just they do things in a very particular way, maybe not as innovative, maybe not as
well, they tell me this is our process. They have no documented process.
Yeah.
So if I don't answer the question, I don't know the answer.
Right.
I'm wrong.
Here's my suggestion. Just go with the flow, and they might be trying to set you up to let you go. Possibly. I know that's kind of crazy.
Well, that's what I'm starting to get a feeling, because it's been 5 months. It's like, come on,
Are you looking for a new job, Dave?
I wasn't, but I'm kind of getting stuck too. But I'm also having a difficult time focusing because, you just never know when something's going to come up and you're going to get beat up again. And it starts to affect you after a while. And looking for another job is, gets to be challenging, So, and I didn't know if I should stay with this job or quit. I don't know, but
don't quit. Don't quit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're giving in to them. Just play the game. Just play the game. Do what they want. My wife with the federal government, and sometimes some things that they do, and she said, whatever, just get the job, just do your job, and just go on with it. Smile.
Put that down, but if you want to seek another job, I for a different reason, I would say, keep it, because once you leave a job, then when you're in that job search, your priorities tend to shift. Okay. To maybe more just kind of landing anywhere and, kind of looking for oftentimes just for the compensation. So I'd recommend to stick it out. But again, to Kelly's point, you kind of put your head down, try to do exactly what they need, the way that they need it. They want it done differently, you do it differently, until maybe you can find something that's a little better.
Just be the good soldier, just march on.
Yeah, do what you do.
Well, let me give you, I agree with what they're saying in terms of it's always better to look for a job while you have a job.
Right.
Okay. That's a difficult challenge because you have a job and you got to try to find the time to look for another job, but that's the better place to be. At some point, I hear what, Kelly said, don't give in to them. The most important thing for anybody, from my perspective, is you have to do what's right for you, your family, and your best interest. So at some point, if you just can't stand it there anymore, then quit. And it's not about giving in to them, from my perspective. It's about taking care of yourself and doing what's right for you, as in terms of who you are and the job and the skills and the experience you have.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm able to often kind of dismiss, or I don't know how to say it when I'm criticized, because a lot of it's kind of my unconscious response is, you got to be kidding. But so hopefully I can deal with it. And that's kind of kind of, I was looking for other people's input here.
Is
Because
it, David, have you tried, I mean, have you, when you get one of those comments, have you tried having a discussion about that?
Well, here's a comment. We kind of, even though I patched servers, and then we were systems admins, and we also supported some laptops. And I offered, hey, guys, the government has a thing like, oh, we have to be on this version of BIOS, which where it comes from, I'm not sure, but it's a thing they do. And so I volunteered to upgrade BIOS, and I did it manually on a box. And the next day my boss walks by and said, why didn't you get that work done? And I'm like, it is done. I'm not sure what to do with that. I did do that. So then they give me another laptop, and I said,
so what I'm saying is, when your boss said, why didn't you get this work done? And you're saying, I got the work done. Why? You asked the question, why do you think that I didn't get the work done?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that. That's kind of, you're kind of confronting the boss.
I'm sorry, Kelly, but if you're having trouble with your boss, you need to have a discussion with them at some point.
Yeah, because I confronted my boss and I got in trouble for it.
Well,
right.
Yeah, it's you got to let's play the stupid. I mean, that's the way corporate world is nowadays. I know you're shaking your head, but the corporate world, you just got to do what they say you do, and just it's stupid.
There's also the way in which you ask.
Yeah,
that's right.
As long as it's not confrontational, right?
Yeah.
Say, is there something, you could say it's and phrase it in a way that you could, something like, is there something about the way that I did this that caused you to think that I didn't get it done?
Yeah,
Like that.
better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the type of
help me
discussion you need to have.
Yeah, that's
Help me
probably
Because
better.
the problem that Dave's having is never going to go away.
Right.
And maybe it never will go away because of the culture and the way they operate. But at least attempting to try to communicate and trying to get on the same page is an option in terms of maybe making this job a little bit better.
And having them help you understand how they think, right? Whenever you come up with these challenges, well, why did you do this way? Why did you do it that way? Blah, blah, blah. Say, well, help me. And you say to them, help me understand how you guys like to do this, right? Your patches, or your this, or your that. Does that make sense? Like, just literally ask an open-ended, not a question, not belligerent, right? You're not defensive. You're just really, truly want to understand. This is the way they like to do this process. And you're like, oh, okay. Now, it might be you say, oh, okay, and you just do it their way. Or you can say, oh, okay, I hear what you're saying. There might be a different way of doing this. Would you be open to that conversation? Say, in my last job, we did it this way. Would that be helpful? Is there, might you be open to changing the way that we do this? If not, I totally understand and happy to do it your way, So you just talk to them, like not in the moment necessarily, in that second that they ask you, but maybe at a different time, have a separate conversation, right?
Here's an example that I'm trying to figure out how I could handle better. I don't know, but I have over a 50-mile drive, and 90% of the time I'm usually on time. Well, there was have you seen those torrential downpours where you can't see the windshield wipers are going, and you can't see, and so I had to drive slower, and I got to work just in time, and we have I love it because we have a status meeting the first thing out of the chute. So if I'm late at all, I'm late for the meeting. Well, I missed like 1 minute of the meeting, and I caught the rest of the meeting. And then my boss wanted to talk to me, and then I went over to his desk, and he said, well, I need you here on time. And I said, I'm sorry, the rain was so, and by the time I got to that, he starts screaming, walking down the aisle like it's for everybody else, yelling, you're so argumentative. You're so argumentative. He's walking away from me, and I didn't even get a sentence out.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
think they might be set. I think they're trying to set you up.
Wow.
I think they are too, because they said they're hiring people. So if I just keep calm, I don't know. you know,
Kill them with kindness.
yeah, kill them with kindness. I figured, you know, kind of, yeah. So, okay. Yeah. It's
Oh
just,
God, I'm so sorry. I'm late. I really apologize. Just then walk away.
yeah, I just, yeah. So yeah. So at any rate,
Wow.
Uh,
We wish you well, Dave.
thank you. I appreciate the input from other people that
Yeah.
it gives me something else to do, and it's where I've been put, and you know, so the work
Yeah.
isn't hard, so I'm not
Right.
gonna a system isn't gonna go down or you cause some system outage. That's in IT, that's a taboo. So I'm not at risk of that. I'm at risk of being criticized for
Yeah, for small things.
inconsequential issues.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Keeping your head down, keeping cool, and
yeah,
being kind.
yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And
Ty?
Dave,
it
Dave, you don't
clears my
want to
head
talk,
to start looking. I'm
you
sorry.
don't, you don't want to talk behind the boss's back, but is there anybody you can become allies with or have become allies, can help understand this guy? Maybe that's the way he treats everybody. I'm just throwing
Well,
it out there.
I think there's fear too, because one guy that I work with that I see once a week because of our rotating schedules, he was showing me stuff because he's been doing IT for a while, and then we use VMware, and we've recycled servers using the VMware console, and he said something about we can recycle. Well, for some reason, this group doesn't want to use that. And I can't find any reference anywhere on Google searches that says there's anything wrong with it. It's part of it. And so now the other day he told me that he just glared at me and says, "You're a lot of trouble," and I haven't really talked to him in 2 weeks now because
Yeah, I'd be very careful, man. You seem like a weird place, man.
yeah,
A place I used to work before, I thought this guy was cool. He was gunning for my job, and I know he talked behind my back. And all of a
right.
sudden, as soon as I left, he took me off on LinkedIn. So
I'm not on LinkedIn with any of them actually. So
yeah,
there is one
yeah.
guy. There is one guy that's been there a month, and he said, "Wow, they're hard on you." I talked to him via, but then we're also talking via team, and at times I'm concerned that can be recorded by the employer.
Oh yeah. My company is reading. They're reading my emails, listening to my phone calls,
Right.
and my team. It's a very paranoid place. So man, if you ever talk to someone, talk to them on your cell phone or chat.
Right.
As long as it's not a company provided one, because
Oh no, there's not a company provided one. So yeah.
the place I worked at before, very strange. I've never been more scrutinized at a job, and I wasn't making any money at all. And anyway,
Right.
that's my 3 cents.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I hate to say that because it happens other places, I'm not going crazy maybe. So anyway, thanks very much.
It's
Yeah.
corporate. It's corporate America. Some places it's really
Okay. That's all I got. I hope we can bring it up to a different attitude here. Sorry.
All good. All good. All right, Kelly, did you have a question?
No, I had a good interview. I think you know me. I kind of do things differently sometimes. And the second interview I had is this guy, and then he says, "Really, what makes you tick?" What? Well, I kind of just jumped into who I was and all that stuff. He goes, "Wow, I'm a Christian, and we got 2 other people in recovery too." And I said, "You'll fit in really well with this company and all that stuff." And I just be myself, and it's amazing to me how easy it is when I talk to people instead of I had an interview yesterday, and he goes, "I'm going to do a script." I said, "Fine." And we had a good conversation. Said, "Take a test, and then he'll get back to me the next day." And I sent my thank you notes and all that stuff. And so I just got to get motivated. I mean, I had a colonoscopy on Wednesday, all these other health issues, and I've just come just chilling out. And I know my wife's could be grieved, but you know what? I'm just taking. I'm enjoying life, and but wife's giving me crap about you gotta. I plan on going to New York to go to the Ravens game, but because if you go to that, don't come back. So I said, okay, fine. But I'm just enjoying. I mean, just my feet were in pain this morning because they're always in pain, and I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna chill out And then I went to watch the news and I saw what's going on in Ukraine. I guess I got nothing to complain about. And here I am. So it's all good.
I have an interview question now. I do have one for y'all.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry.
because I'm in IT, we're often asked technical questions. And I did have an interview like 2 months ago or a month ago with a manager, and it was about your IT background. And there are things like I've done Cisco, but it's kind of funny how the world works. It seems that people that are assigned to work types become a network engineer, not because they studied it or no, there was room for one and they became one. And then they do this and they became one. Now, if I'm familiar with the topic, my networking, and they want to know what you did, how do I phrase things where, like right now I'm learning Azure, which is Windows Azure, which is cloud computing. But I'm learning it. I'm taking the classes online. I also have, and the cool thing is with Azure, you can use their environment, so you actually get hands-on experience. So it's like, oh, aha. How do you say that? Because somebody hasn't paid me to do it. Kind of the chicken and the egg issue. How do you got to learn it, but you can't. Does anybody have thoughts how you respond to? How do I package it where I've studied it and I'm familiar with it, but I've never been paid to do it? Does that make sense?
I would say, hey, I'm doing some extra work on the side, and I'm doing some research on the side. I'm taking some self-study courses on, how to improve my technology skills and all that stuff. And, I'm not getting paid on it all, but that's my curiosity. That's my personality is curiosity and want to learn more things about the IT world to be up to date, in the technology world.
Do we have any other?
I mean, that's probably if it's something you haven't, as you say, been paid for, and you're learning it, you're demonstrating to them that you took this upon yourself. I'm always wanting to know, what's going on, and I'm learning this new programming, but I and would welcome the opportunity. Now, again, it depends. Is this, if you're if you're interviewing for a job where this is a skill that's required, then
Well, that's hard to say because everybody, the cloud is the interesting thing is you have your little network in the building, which is everybody's been, has had for a while, your computers in the data center. But now the cloud, like AWS and Azure and stuff, provide a lot of computing power. And then even Office 365 runs on the cloud. It doesn't really run on your computer. Mm-hmm. So all that's changing, and it's changing quickly. And so they'll always say must have experience or have some experience in this. And sometimes they also state all three clouds, which is Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. And I can learn one, but to try to learn three of them for the sake of learning them is like, hey.
I would say I'm constantly learning.
It's a little hard. It's a little hard, Dave, to
it's how to package it.
Because there's not enough information here, I think, for Shira and I to give you a good solid answer on how to answer this particular question. Other than if it's a required skill and you haven't done it, you can do the best to convince them that you can learn it, but recognize in the interviewing process, if they have somebody that's got 5 years of experience doing exactly what they need to do, and you're at a beginning stage, you're probably not going to get the offer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how to provide a better answer,
Again, I was in the IT for 20 years. They always want you learning and learning new technology and all that stuff, and they expect you to do it on your own and not get,
right.
But,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Jeffrey, are you new with us today, or is this the Jeffrey that I know from 40 plus?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is. Hey,
Boom.
How are you, ladies and gentlemen?
nice to see you.
Nice to be seen.
Good. So we are, I don't know if you, have you ever been with our group here?
It's been a minute.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we have an open Q&A format here. So if you're in a job search, we are happy to have you and love to have your questions.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So any question you have about the job search, feel free to ask on anything from resumes to interviewing to dealing with recruiters to whatever, anything on your mind.
I'll just say recently I had an interview, major interview with a national organization that represents aging interests. And actually, I was referred for this position. So I had an in. And I was scheduled to be a 45-minute interview. The vice president for this organization, however, arrived 15 minutes late. Digital interview, of course. And then it took this person about another 3 to 4 minutes to get set up for the interview in terms of just the technology. And for the remaining part of the interview, she said, I only have a half hour left, 28 minutes left. We're going to have to hurry up. So I provided my teammate, and it was succinct. And I provided key points related to the job posting and my experience. But throughout the interview, she kept looking at her watch and rushed me through and said, well, I have another meeting, and just summarily ended the interview. It was the worst interview experience I've had, throughout the decades.
Wow.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it sounds like it was pretty bad.
oh, it was terrible. I mean, it was absolutely terrible. So I'm venting, if you will. I look back and I'm thinking, what could I have done to make a difference? About the only thing I was able to present, and even then I was rushed in the 30 seconds or so that she provided me, was the teammate. But it was just a horror of an interview.
Oh.
Sometimes when people rush me, when they go, listen, this is a bad time, can we reschedule this? And get them off the hook. And then so hey, it is really bad time. But
it's a good point, Kelly. Yeah, that's being sensitive to them.
Yeah.
You could do that. It's a really good point.
Yeah. And when I have an interview and I'm coming right up to that time, and listen, I know we got 30 minutes. Are we okay about going? Oh no, I appreciate you doing that. So,
I had a friend who interviewed, and granted it was a sales position, but they scheduled him for like 11 o'clock and he didn't get into the interview until 12 o'clock. And part of the process, the entire process, was the fact that he had to wait that hour before he could get the interview, because that's what he's going to be doing, is that he's going to have to wait an hour to talk to people and sales, because it was a sales position. So, I often think about that interview that he had, because to me, you never know what they're doing. They may be doing that for a reason. It's like, how are you handling the stress of being late, handling the stress of being too busy? It's a busy office, this is the way it goes, sort of thing. So I do put that in mind whenever I interview.
Yeah. The first thing that when I'm working with a client and we start to talk about interviewing, the first thing that I say is to expect the unexpected. Because even though on the grand scale, the whole interviewing process from organization to organization is similar, every organization has its own culture, it has its own way of doing things. And you can do as much due diligence and try to prepare yourself for that as possible. But organizations sometimes are terrible at interviewing, as Jeffrey just alluded to. So don't beat yourself up too much, unless, as Sally's saying, this is the way we interview because we want to see how you respond to it. But you don't know that. And so it's just, and there are people who are bad interviewers. They literally, I've interviewed with pretty senior people in an organization who I would have thought would have conducted a more professional interview or had better interviewing skills, and they didn't. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know. Shira, you got other thoughts?
Yeah, everything that's been said is understood. Look, people do get stressed, and I'm not saying this was the most professional interview. You never know, right? Maybe the person, and maybe it was just what was going on their side. Maybe they, I don't know. Sometimes first impressions can matter. So maybe I don't know actually what happened to you. I really don't know. All I can say is I'm sorry that it happened. Right? That's really about it. These things can happen as a one-off. So, kind of move on, dust yourself off. Like, what can I say?
Yeah, I mean, things happen.
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. Hey, Kelly, so you're going to the virtual expo, to the JCA virtual expo?
Yeah, I put that in the chat, so if you guys want to go after this, but you usually have about 15 minutes of chat, and then after that you can jump on. But have a good weekend, everyone. And Jeffrey, just be like a duck, just roll the water right off your back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
MoveOn.org.
Thank you.
Take care. God
Yeah.
bless. Have
Kelly.
a good weekend.
Hi, Kelly.
Bless you, Kelly.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
So everybody there, so there is that, so JCA does have this virtual expo. They do several times a year. It's a virtual career fair. And you're all welcome to it. It's geared for the 50+ community, but welcome for everybody. So I'm glad that Kelly put it into the chat. And it's from 10 to 2.
What is JCA?
So JCA is a nonprofit based in Rockville, and they help. They're all about older adults, and
Okay.
one of the services that they provide is job support. They provide lots of services to all kinds of people, but they also provide job services, and they do a couple of things. This virtual expo, which used to not be virtual pre-pandemic, and then they also have something called the Career Gateway.
Okay.
Career Gateway is like a boot camp, like a job search boot camp. It does cost $75, but it's a week-long program. They do it. Ty, you've been to it, right? So it's over the course of a full week. So it's like a full Monday, a full Wednesday, a full Friday, Monday and Wednesday, I think, like that. It's just
excellent.
Yeah, it's just training. I happen to be their guest LinkedIn trainer. I'll come in like
Okay.
on a Monday morning and do a training for a couple hours.
Uh-huh.
But they're a great group. You're welcome to explore that. I'm going to go ahead and look them up now for you.
Okay.
Yeah. In regards to that interviewing, sometimes places will say, well, I have a half hour or something. And they'll say, do you have any questions? I say, well, I have a lot of questions. I'm curious, but I want to be sensitive to your time. I usually try to acknowledge like being sensitive to their time. And maybe that's a statement that you could use in an interview if the person seems like they want to back out of it.
Yeah, I have a LinkedIn question for when it comes to LinkedIn. I have a number of LinkedIn contacts, which basically I know for relative to professional, whatever, but I don't know them. We've connected as LinkedIn people, and we may have corresponded with a quick message. But how do you develop a LinkedIn relationship, especially if you're trying to get into a company or something? Our work, our resources to better understand, these are people I've never met and it's all virtual. Do we have any thoughts of resources on?
Well, one thing that you can do that's really helpful is if the person you're trying to reach out to is a second level connection, not a third, a second
Right.
level, that means you have at least one mutual contact. If that mutual contact is somebody that you know well enough to leverage, you can reach out to that person, have them introduce you to the second level contact and say, hey, I'm looking. So let's say the second level contact is John Smith.
Right.
And your first level contact is, Jane Jones. Okay, right.
Yeah.
You go to Jane and say, hey, Jane, I understand that you're connected to John on LinkedIn. Would you consider introducing me to John? And here's why I'm interested in meeting John. So she can tee up that introduction for you.
Okay.
That's a warm introduction. And Dave, if the people you're talking about you're connected and you're a first level, connection, simply, first of all, look at their LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
What's in their LinkedIn profile that, is common to what you do, or it's something you want to learn about. And then you message them and you just message them and say, hey, reviewing your LinkedIn profile, I saw XYZ, would welcome the opportunity to chat with you sometime, and send them that message. Some people will ignore the message. You'll never hear from them, but I guarantee you some people will get back to you. And then you simply set up a Zoom call or a phone call. And that's how you start, to your point, that's how you start to build a relationship with them. Because right now they're just an electronic connection and your name and a picture, but there's no human connection at that point. So it's really pretty simple. And if you try that, I think you'll find that you'll start to interact with some people that you're going to learn from, that you can help, that you might even connect with someone that's saying, hey, based on your skills, I've heard about this opportunity at this other company. And there you go. You might be able to, find a new job just by going through LinkedIn.
Great. Well, thanks. That's okay. It is kind of straightforward, but it just was.
Yeah. But like anything else, Dave, if we don't know how to do something, then we don't know how to do it. And somebody's got to share that with us, right? So.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave, so on my website, I have some free videos and I'm going to put a link right here. So if you go to this site, okay, this page, they're all job seeker presentations I've done. So if you go down the page, there's one of them that's called Using LinkedIn Like a Pro. It actually has the LinkedIn training I do for JCA. It's one of those recordings, okay? And it's 2-hour videos, so it's long, okay? Half of it talks about how to create a really compelling profile. And the other piece talks about what you're talking about, doing searches and connecting with people and all of that. So hopefully that'll be helpful for you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that will, I think. Yeah. And long isn't a problem. It means it's got content, which is good. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Any other questions, thoughts? All right. Well, we can go ahead and wrap up a few minutes early here. So for anybody who would like to stay on after this call for a short prayer call, you're certainly welcome to do that. Otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing you all next week.
Take care, everybody. Have a good week.
You too.